Okay, everybody, this is Sheets, and this is for part two of DGen Saturday. And DGen Saturday is as I said, quite the DGen. Not only is there baseball and basketball, but there's two NASCAR races on Saturday, and they run the same races back on Sunday, not to mention MMA. So this is going to be the NASCAR Cup Series preview. And again, just you'll afford me just a minute to describe this for if you didn't watch the Infinity breakdown. This is a little bit of a sentimental situation for me because I've never seen a NASCAR race live before, and I was going to bring my son to this race as kind of like a going away present for him to go to college. And obviously COVID made that not possible. So they're still running the race. So instead of going to it, we're going to have to just take down all the GPPs that are associated with it. So it's a 1 mile track. It's steep, which means that it's very difficult to pass people. And you want guys that are near the front. You want probably two dominators, meaning for those of you who don't play that often, two guys that can be on the lead lap or at least get fastest laps, which is usually the same thing. I shouldn't say usually, it's often the same thing. It's not the race where you want to just stack these guys from the back. You really want to, be in a position to lead laps. So although it's only 311 laps instead of 400, it's not quite as long as it could be. It's still 311 laps, still just a lot of dominator points available. So we're going to be looking for two guys that, I don't know if we can go three, but we're going to try in the top, that can, get to the front pretty quickly, or at least at some point during the race. This is I'm just telling you, this is a very difficult slate price-wise. It's very tough to build lineups that really look good. I'm just telling you, I don't know how many I'm going to play. I have this feeling that I can't play 150. I just don't do that. I might just take a shot with one or two, because once I start with like 15 or 20, I just feel as though I'm not even getting nearly the exposure that I want on some of these guys. This is very, very difficult. I'm just telling you in advance. There's some slates I think are easy. This one I think is really tough, really hard. So with that said, I'm going to go through the guys and I'm going to analyze this in a very similar way to the way I analyze the Infinity race, and that is, okay, let's see who's going to get to the front, right? Let's analyze this like a harness race. And, you don't have anybody cheap and terrible near the front. You have Chase Elliott at the pole, and, it's very likely that he just, as they used to say in harness race, he just waltzes to the top and stuffs everybody in the hole. And, with the steep banks and the difficulty in passing, just freaking lead the whole race, or at the very least till they get to competition caution, which does make it, that's why they have the competition caution. Otherwise, these races could end up being really boring if one guy just gets clean air and opens up on the field. I mean, that's just kind of almost unfair. So, yeah, he's certainly a great play to do exactly that. Now, the next thing you would think logically is, okay, well, what if that doesn't work out? In other words, what if he doesn't get the jump? Well, why don't you start with the two, right? So you start with Denny Hamlin. So if Denny Hamlin can just get right around him, then he's off to the races. You know what I mean? It's like kind of the same thing. So I'm kind of the belief that I can get away with the similar type idea as Infinity. Just play one of these two in every lineup and just get those points right out of the gate. The only difference is that, well, the big difference is that in the Infinity race, you had like the top two of the top five drivers in the first 2 or 5 spots. But there are guys in this field that are freaking fast cars, that are fast drivers, that know what they're doing. And it's not just that easy, okay, get the lead and just open up. I mean, because they're going to have to fend off a lot of crap. So I don't think I'm going to end up just playing Elliott or who is it? or Hamlin, or play them both, but it certainly feels like a decent idea. Let's see what we're afraid of here. I'm not going to play Logano. If I'm going to play anybody else in these top 10, it's going to be guys that can really just get there. And Truex, I guess, is okay. That makes sense. But the guy who I really just want to go play is just going to play Harvick. You know, he's got the added advantage of having the 10 hole in that. He does have some place differential points he can get also. So, you know, you compare him. See, this is weird. So you compare him to Blaney in a spot like this. And normally at first glance, I would say, oh my God, Blaney for the 20 hole, that's like a lock. But at 11-8, you know, he's going to need, I mean, you're asking a lot of him to get past all of these guys, right? To get near the top 5, or not even at his price, he probably has to win the race. And it's going to be tough from back there, man. It's just really tough. But Harvick, I think, you know, he doesn't have that much power right in front of him. You know, he's got Byron, Busch, and Boyer. I think Boyer people are going to play. Kozlowski's kind of sneaky. But I think Harvick, if he has his car revved up, I think he can weave through pretty handily, and maybe he can just sweep and just dominate this race. It's going to be tough, but at that price, maybe people don't play him, which would be nice. But they always play Harvick. That's the way it goes. So I think the 4 guys that I'm going to want to mix and match are the guys I mentioned, and that would be the first 3. It would be Hamlin, Elliott, Truex, and Harvick. Jimmy Johnson, I was on and off of I couldn't quite figure it out. He's cheap. So that means he doesn't really have to do that much. You know what I mean? It's not like he's got to get to the front over all these guys and lead a zillion laps. I think he does have to lead some laps, though. I think he has to get to the front at some point. I don't think just hanging around 5th or 6th is going to do it. So he's the guy I'm just kind of struggling with. I haven't quite decided what I want to do with him. I definitely know that I want to play either Elliott, what's his name, Harvick, Truex, Hamlin. You know, probably 2. I should probably just play those 4. Play 2 of those 4 in every lineup and just be done with it. So then the next thing that you got to do is then figure out how the rest of it's going to go. So you want to be able to get some of these mid-range guys. I don't mean price-wise, but from the middle of the pack guys that can get into that top 5, and that would be enough to get there. So let's talk about some of those plays. So a risky one. I don't know. Eric Jones. I think people are going to like him. I think he needs to get a top 5, and I remember passing these guys is really difficult, and a lot of good drivers in here that he's going to have to pass. So it's got a chance. I don't mind him. I'd rather go with this guy. I'd rather go with Tyler Reddick, though, because he's 7,100. You know, he's got a three place differential points more that he has at his disposal, and at 7,100, I think I'd rather have him than like an Eric Jones from the teens. Almirola, I thought would be cheaper. I mean, I like to play him from time to time, but I don't think I'm going to play him at 8,900. Alex Bowman was huge chalk last week, and for good reason. He's from the 27. I don't want to play him in the 11. I don't think he can do what he needs. And Boyer, he can end up being popular because of his price, but again, it's just a lot to ask for him to get past all 3 of those guys, Truex, Hamlin, and Elliott. So I don't know if I'm going to play him. So Matt DiBenedetto is another interesting one. So him and Tyler Reddick are guys that are interesting to me because they're both, you know, in this middle range as far as, you know, place differential. And I think they both do have some top 5 upside. So I think that those 2 guys are really interesting to me. Now the thing is Kyle Busch is a great play, you know, from the 22. he's 10-6. You know, it's tough. It's just going to be tough to get in the guys that I want at the front, and then also be able to play Kyle Busch. And if you play Kyle Busch, you know, then you gotta have like, then you gotta play Kurt Busch, I guess, or Logano, or not even like you got to pay down for some of these dominators, and it's going to be hard, man, because these value plays, these cheap value plays are nothing, are no bargain, man. It's really, really tough. Like with that said, you know, you want to throw a couple of cheap guys out there. Daniel Suarez is always a guy you could play. Ryan Preece is a guy you can always play. Ty Dillon's a guy you can always play, I guess. I almost want to play Custer at 7,300. It's another 7,300 guy I want to play. And then what's his name? Where's Corey LaJoie? He's always in play. Yeah, I didn't even know where he was, but what, 5K? I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's going to get his 24th or whatever it is, and yeah. So that's what I would do. Like for example, and here's Christopher Bell. Also, I forgot. He's probably a decent 7,600. So what I'm finding is like Matt Kenseth. I don't know if I mentioned him, but yeah, 7K. So what I think is that there are a decent amount of these 7,300 guys or 7,500 guys you could play between. I'm just going to put them in here. So between DiBenedetto, Nemechek, he's good value too. I forgot about him. Sorry, at 31. So between DiBenedetto, where was Tyler Reddick? Somewhere. Where'd he go? See my lineup? Yeah. Oh, sorry. So between Christopher Bell, DiBenedetto, Kenseth's fine, and Tyler Reddick. I mean, there are these 7,100 guys you can play, and if you did that, like for example, you could just do this, and you don't need to play Corey LaJoie, for example. You know what I mean? You don't need to go too crazy. Now this leaves 700 on the table, so you probably want to jiggle around a little bit, I suppose. But I think that's going to be what my approach is. I'm going to live in this 7,500 range with guys like this, like Bell, DiBenedetto, Kenseth, Reddick. You know what I mean? And probably not half. And then I'll be able to get 2 studs in. You know what I mean? Without having to, you know, to speculate on these guys that can lose 3 laps or something like that, or wreck, or God knows what. But again, just if you are going to play those guys, the guys that are going to stand out are going to be guys like Nemechek and LaJoie and Suarez and Preece, I think. But I don't think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to end up doing something like this. But the problem is that I need like top 5 upside from all 3 of them. How are they all going to get top 5s? That's the problem. So what I'm probably going to have to go to some of those values. So I'm probably going to have to go 2 guys from here, right, from the 1 through 10. I'm probably going to have to do like about 2 from this 14 to 18 range, right? And I can't really use 3. I got to use 2, and that takes care of that 7,400 range. So then I'm probably then stuck having to pay up for Kyle Busch. So like, for example, let's say that, I don't know, which one do I get rid of? Let's say I get rid of DiBenedetto. And then I put in like, you know, Kyle Busch was obviously very, very strong value here. Then what I have to do, that's 3 studs. Can I get away with this? I mean, can I like, I can do this, can't I? Like, for example, right? You can play three studs. You can play Kyle Busch basically like a lock, right? But it just costs a lot of money at 10-6, and then play these top 2 dominators, and then live in the 7K range with we got 1 from the 16, and you don't have to do that because you can go then. Love to have 2 from the 16 range. Love to get Bell into this build also. So just like, for example, let me just see if I can, instead of Kenseth from the 26, if I can get Bell in from the 18, Then I have to just make one change between these, between Busch, Hamlin, and Elliott. So what works? Oh, I'd like to play Harvick, but I can't. Not in this build. Eric Jones, again, he was fine, but he was 9,200. I prefer those other guys. So Elliott, so where's Truex? Truex is 11. That's not going to help me. So it's gonna require a little bit of massaging. Let's put it that way. But let's just say that I wanted to do this. Let's say that no, I didn't want to. I didn't want to put Harvick in. I wanted to save the money. I just wanted to go 1-2. You know, like I say, the 1-2 buckle your shoe here. If we get rid of him, play Keselowski. He's not my favorite though. LaJoy at 5K, you would think it really helps me out, but not that much. See, if I take Reddick out, for example, now I have 8,600 per driver, but like none of these guys I don't really love any of them. You know, I'd love to get to Busch, but then, you know what I have to do then? Then I'd have to do this. Yeah, and you play kind of the semi-chalky. This is probably a really chalky lineup. Well, maybe not. It's got no Harvick, and it's got no Blaney. It's got no Truex. This isn't bad. So this is like a 1-2 buckle your shoe, right? They line up 1-2. Maybe they alternate back and forth. Yeah, you tell a story like anything else, like any other showdown pretty much. Then you get Bell from that 18 hole, you know, that range, and then Busch kind of a lock, and then these two kind of value guys over here. So that's one thing you can do. But, you know, I'm going to be able to do this with, you know, I'm playing a limited amount of drivers for a race that can go a zillion different ways, I think. But I'm going to just take a stand that it's going to be one of those four guys, Truex, Elliott, Hamlin, or Harvick at the front. And then I'm going to, you know, play the guys that I mentioned from the 16 to 18 starting position, that area. And as far as my value guys, you know, Nemechek, LaJoy, guys like that. And, yeah, that's about it. Good luck, D-Gen Saturday. I'm going to be able to do all of this and still also get 18 holes of golf in. I can't wait to see how that works out. Okay, that's it. Have a good Saturday, and you'll hear from me again before they race this right back again on Sunday.